In the meantime, the A-7 Corsair II attack aircraft is nearing the end of its service life. Developed from a dedicated fighter, the A-7 Corsair II has seen considerable action over Vietnam as a dependable strike bomber. But by the 1980s, they begin to wear out. And some of the F-4 Phantoms serving the Marines need economical replacements. Like the Air Force, the Navy starts looking for a cost-effective, versatile fighter jet. And the single-engine F-16 with the lightweight undercarriage isn't it. McDonnell Douglas, which manufactures the F-4, sets out to fill the Navy's needs. It isn't the first time. Since World War II, McDonnell has supplied the Navy, starting with the Phantom I, the Navy's first fighter jet and the first design McDonnell produces. With the Phantom I, McDonnell impresses the Navy with its ability to produce aircraft specifically tailored to the demands of different services. After the Phantom comes the Banshee, the same shape but with a lot more power. Shown here flying in front of the Phantom I, the Banshee is a success, cementing McDonnell's reputation as a world leader in fighter aircraft design. In the Korean conflict, the Banshee offers aircraft carrier commanders a formidable ground attack weapon. McDonnell produces more than 900 Banshees in its St. Louis plant. And after the Banshee comes a single-engine swept-wing plane. With this one, McDonnell pulls back on the power but scores another hit. The plane gets mass-produced as a fighter and reconnaissance aircraft. Its arrival heralds a new chapter in aerial warfare, the use of guided missiles by the Navy. With a quarter-century of military service under its belt, McDonnell unveils its crowning achievement, the F-4 Phantom II. The Navy and Air Force snap up more than 5,000 of them, and McDonnell grows prosperous enough to acquire the long-established Douglas Company. In the late 1970s, McDonnell Douglas gets involved in Northrop's languishing F-17 project. They see the airframe's potential and want to bring it back to life by fixing the bugs and honing the design to fit the Navy's demands for fighter and attack planes. Though based on the bones of the old YF-17, the new version needs thousands of modifications. For Navy use, the wings have to fold to fit on a carrier. The plane needs more range, more powerful engines, and a totally upgraded cockpit in a completely redesigned front section. McDonnell's St. Louis plant builds the forward section and wings, but the bulk of the fuselage and skin come from Northrop's Hawthorne factory, using the original F-17 construction jigs. Thus, two relative latecomers to the aviation industry, barely in existence before World War II, come together for an extremely ambitious project. As of today, just a single F-18 Hornet costs $57 million. Get more great planes online at military.discovery.com. Plane manufacturers McDonnell Douglas and Northrop, once fierce competitors, come together to salvage the fledgling YF-17 project. The result is the F-18 Hornet. But before manufacturing begins, an advanced flight simulator puts the aircraft through its paces, accurately predicting its performance and suggesting tweaks to the design. The F-17, redesignated the F-18 and renamed the Hornet, moves ahead to the prototype stage. Naval officers and McDonnell engineers study a wooden mock-up of the first F-18 Hornet. The model illustrates what naval crews might expect of the real thing before expensive fabrication begins. As a bonus, the YF-17 prototype gives pilots a sense of what the F-18 might feel like, only with a lot less power. But the new F-18 still hasn't hit the St. Louis production line. The Navy insists on one structural change: a more robust undercarriage to absorb the shock of hard landings and abrupt stops on a moving carrier deck. But this isn't the only modification.
So Mike, the Navy obviously needs to be able to stage its aircraft from aircraft carriers. Tell me how an aircraft that would have to be launched and recovered on a carrier would have to have some different design features put into it.
This has to be built really strong so we can stop in just a matter of feet. The other is the landing gear. If you look at an Air Force jet, the landing gear is not going to be nearly as bulky. It's not going to weigh nearly as much. It kind of weighs the airplane down a little bit, so we've got to be able to get as much thrust out of our airplane as possible. But the airplane's got to be built durable too, so we can't really use a lot of thrust vectoring. So, but we will use the variable geometry exhaust to get as much thrust as we can out of the engine. The wings also need to be able to fold, and to be able to put high G loads on and fold the wings, you're going to have to build the wings again heavy and strong.
Yeah.
So we can fit all the airplanes on the aircraft carrier. So again, we got to get as much thrust as we can out of our engine.
So with the folding wings and the landing gear and all the other modifications, it basically makes it suitable for carrier operations, but doesn't necessarily make it the lightest aircraft or aerodynamically perfect, but you got to do what you got to do to put a jet on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, there's a little bit of compromise between jet can take and how well it can perform, especially at high altitudes. But at low altitudes, it seems like the airplane's able to accelerate just as well as any other.
Despite all of McDonnell's modifications, the F-18 retains Northrop's basic Cobra design. The F-18 is a derivative of the YF-17 design, but materializes as a bigger and more capable aircraft. That's no coincidence. Heights, wires, and joints from California align perfectly with their partners produced in Missouri. The result is a superb fighter aircraft that fills at least two Navy needs: fighter and attack plane. Declaring all systems go, the first of 20 pre-production F-18s roll out of the McDonnell Douglas production plant to face the toughest test of all.
At last, the big day for the F-18, the Hornet, born from the ashes of Northrop's Cobra. Service representatives and other naval dignitaries examine the born-again fighter. But the real test is in the sky. Taken to the air for the first time, the F-18 delivers as promised.